Hey everybody, Jen Keenan here at the Four Squares Residential Group at Keller Williams Real Estate, coming to you with my Love the Way You Live video series. And this month, I'm so excited to have with me my friend Bri Martin from Casper, Wyoming. We're going to talk all about the West, the Midwest, or the West, I should say, Upper Midwest, and get a little sense of what it's like to live in the great state of Wyoming. So Bri, welcome to
Thank
my
you.
show. Yes,
I'm
I'm so
excited.
excited to have you.
Absolutely.
So as always, I interview my friends. So Bri and I are friends. We just got back from a conference together,
Had the
and we had
best dinner
the
ever.
best dinner ever. It
Mhm.
was so fun. And I coerced her to do my show. So here we are. So I've never been to Wyoming. I've certainly never been to Casper. I think, I know from around here, a lot of people know like where Jackson Hole is. So talk to me a little bit about Casper, like where it is, how people like to live there. Just, if you were meeting somebody randomly, what would you tell them about Casper?
So Casper is right in the middle of the country. We're 4 hours straight north from Denver, Colorado. That's usually how people kind of place us, is we're right above Colorado. And our state is basically a square. It's a
Yes.
very boring shape. So, and we're right in the middle of there. And
Awesome.
most people do know about Jackson, and that one's up in the upper left-hand corner. And we're a little bit different here because we are all kind of isolated. I'd say like we're a very standalone community. And to get to the next city is about an hour. It's not like a continuous ongoing city like I think a lot of the East Coast. That's how it is. And when I've been out there, it's felt like that it doesn't stop.
Right. Yes. So would you say that people come to live in Casper and they definitely want to live in Casper and they're not looking to go somewhere else? Is it a year-round community? Is it a resort community? Like
So
where do people come from Casper?
we're definitely a year-round community. And when I started real estate in 2009, people were mainly moving here for oil and gas. It was people, families that had grown up here and continuing on. But now it seems like people are really moving in from all over the country, all over the world. Like what was nice is I feel like we're a little bit isolated as far as like there's not a ton of people. We didn't have to, go by as many rules as other people did during COVID and all of that. We don't have state income tax. Like
Mm.
you're definitely kind of free to be like you here, it seems like. And a lot of people have wanted to kind of come, I think, and experience that freedom and being able to get away from people and be out in the country. We have a mountain and a river and hunting and just adventuring. Like it's just a great place that's still just not fully populated. You can still be out there by yourself.
That sounds amazing. And I think I know, a lot of my friends and family and my sphere here in Massachusetts, like I grew up very close to the New Hampshire border. And certainly, like a lot of people go up to New Hampshire, they like to vacation or spend time there. And it's certainly a year round, like summer, winter place. But certainly there is that sense of like, I just want to be out in the country and I want to be free and I want to just be myself in the middle of the woods or just in nature, right? And I
Yeah.
could see how that could be very appealing for a lot of people.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's been great. And I've actually lived in Casper, Wyoming since 2007, and it's been a great place to raise my kiddos. We get to choose its school of choice, so you get to choose where your kiddos go to school, and we have a great education system. And we are only about 4 hours, like I said, from Denver. We're 4 hours from Yellowstone, 4 hours from the Black Hills, so we're really centrally located, and it's pretty easy to fly in and out of here still. So it's a nice little hub to be in, I think.
Awesome. So tell me, I'm assuming that most of your housing stock is single families.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So
And
we have, oh, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, I mean, here, we have a mix here of singles, condos, and multis. But I think, one of the things that certainly came about during COVID for a lot of my friends and family are that, a lot of people, obviously people can work remote now. I mean, it's ever changing, right? Some people are trying to go back to work or whatnot. But I think the fact that, you can get a lot, you can get a lot for your money here in Massachusetts, and we do have a big fat state income tax. So to go to a state that doesn't have one is certainly appealing for a lot of people. And that is sometimes the draw of New Hampshire. New Hampshire doesn't have state income tax either. So,
Mhm.
for folks watching this, there are other places around the country besides New Hampshire that don't have state income tax. And, you know, your money just goes farther in other markets, right?
Yep.
And so yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about like your industries. And I know I started down the single family road. So let's go back to that. So most of the housing stock is single families.
Yep, our population is about 60,000 people, and then we have like 3 smaller communities that surround us. But so in a total, probably about 70,000 people in this community. Our average sales price is 305,000, and those are mostly single families, like almost, I'd say 90% of them. We have very few condos. We have some twin homes, like duplexes, but not a lot. So a lot of single families. It seems like whenever anyone is at least moving into Wyoming, they are thinking they are going to get a piece of land with like a house on an acre with some horses and stuff. But what is funny is that our like common city lot size is probably right around 7,000 square feet, not like the acreages that people imagine.
Yeah.
So it is funny how people come here and they're like, we want land, and it's just like, it's not that. It's a little
Not
bit
that
different. Like, we
open.
have a lot of public land all the way around us to go enjoy, but we don't always, like, land here is fairly expensive compared to like growing up in Nebraska. The land in Nebraska is a lot less expensive. Here's a lot
Interesting.
more, and it's not so much agriculture. Um, People use it for their animals and everything, but it's not a lot of agriculture here. It's a lot of oil and gas. And we've become a big medical hub for Wyoming, a shopping center. A lot of like the big tournaments, the state tournaments happen in Casper, so that's a big draw. And then of course we have like the mountain, the river, and all of that, which is really nice for living here and having places and things to go out and do, at least
Nice.
when it's not the middle of winter and the wind's blowing 90
Yeah.
miles an hour and you're
That's
freezing.
funny that you say that about the lot sizes, because my lot is about 7,000 square feet. I live in Medford, which is a couple towns outside of Boston, downtown Boston. And, you know, my town is about 60,000 people as well. So, you know, we're considered like not quite urban, but not quite suburban. We're just on the cusp of, you know, the city versus the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but certainly we don't have as much open space we have great parks around town, but I'm sure where you are, it's much more open. But that's interesting because yes, I would think that you would certainly get more land in
Mm-hmm.
your lot
Yep.
size.
I mean, you can buy rural properties, but they're just pricey and they're not as common as one would expect.
Yeah. I'm gonna have you host so we can share your screen. I would love to do okay, and we're back.
There
A
we
little
go.
technical difficulty there that when we change hosts, but yeah, if you want to share screen, Bri, and we can do a little show and tell of
Okay, sounds good. I'm trying to remember which one of these places it was. Let's try here. Okay, so I did pull up just a couple different price ranges. You'd mentioned that your average price point, and can you see my screen now?
Yep, I can see it. Yep.
Okay, so your average price point's quite a bit higher than ours, and ours has gone up a ton. Probably a year or so ago, it was about 240, and now it's 305,000 is our average sales price.
Okay.
And you said that yours is the 700 range.
Yeah, depending, yeah, about 700. So yeah, I think a lot of the point of, you know, my doing these interviews, well, I guess it depends on the market, is like, you know, what can you get in other areas for the
Yeah,
same
it's
price point, and then
interesting. I
what can
love
you get
watching
for
that too.
less? Yeah.
Okay, so this one is 715,000. It's almost 7,000 square feet with a 3-car
Wow.
garage. And it's one of my favorite houses. Like,
That's
I am
beautiful.
amazed that it hasn't sold because it is just beautiful. So you do get like 700,000 is definitely like the higher end here. We do have higher end houses, but you're definitely buying a luxury house, I'd say, at
Yeah,
that point.
for sure. That looks
Um,
beautiful.
yeah, this is just an absolutely stunning house, like on the west side of town. And yeah, it kind of has that whole Wyoming warm feel, I think. So the stone and all of that. So
That would
um,
be that would be 2 million in my market.
would it? Yep.
Yeah.
So like double. Okay. And then let me show you basically what we have in our basic, like, here's our average price point right now. And it would just be one of these basic houses, like the
Oh,
newish
cute.
construction, late 2000s. Oh, look, this one only has one picture on the front. Those are my nightmare.
I hate when that happens.
I'm like, no. Hold on, I had these pulled up. Everything looks a little bit different when we have
So
our.
you have a lot of new construction?
Yeah, we do have quite a bit of new construction, but it has gotten really expensive lately. I mean, it's not something that's as attractive. Like when I first built my first new construction house,
Mhm.
personally in 2012, it was only 265, and that same one right now would be like six, I
Yeah,
think, like in that range. So it's definitely gotten really expensive and kind of hard to time out. A
yeah.
lot of them are only selling pre-sales at this point, like building them as specs and selling them at
Mhm.
the end because of waiting on supply chain issues, that sort
Right.
of thing.
We don't,
Um,
we don't have a lot of land here, so getting something that's new or newer. I mean, new to us is something in the 80s or 90s,
oh yeah,
and because our houses are a lot of like turn of the century, 1920s, etc. But I think, again, another attractive feature to be able to go to another market is that you can get a newer home. Even if it's, 10 or 15 years old, it's still significantly newer than what we have in our market here.
yeah, that's really interesting to me. And actually, another like something different from where you are in here is our very oldest houses are built between 1910 and 1917. Those are like the very most historic houses in our entire town are from back then. So,
This
um,
house is cute. So how this is a 3-bed, 2-bath.
yeah, 3 bed, 2 bath, 1,300 square foot, just all on one level. We do have basements here. This one does not have a basement, but basements are very common as are garages. And actually, people like big garages for the most part. But this is almost a little starter house that about a year ago would have been probably 240, and right now is over three, which
But
seems
that's still half the cost of
it's still
something
half the cost
here.
of where you're at.
Yeah, and it's funny, we have basements too. We have garage. Not everybody has a garage, but we have a lot of garages, but definitely basements. And people love their basements and their garages just for storage purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Oh, I
here's just
love this one, the brick.
an older one that's just under three as well. A lot of hardwood floors and all of that. A lot of homes have been remodeled. My business partner's wife actually buys houses and flips them essentially.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people in Casper have kind of caught on to that. So it's been kind of fun to see these houses just get nicer because there's been some very, very ugly ones, in the past, some pretty horrible
Do you
ones.
have a lot? It looks like you might have a lot of ranches, a lot of single story homes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty common. We have ranches. We have a lot of the bi-level, like the split level plans where you
Mhm.
walk into the stairs and go up and down
Yep, we have
from the
those too.
80s, and
Yes.
the tri-level houses, and yeah, 2 stories. I mean, there's a little bit of everything here, but it is all kind of a mishmash. I'd say there's not like a real, like there's not a Wyoming like style necessarily.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah, well, it's funny because a lot of folks here, they love a ranch because if you're downsizing or you're thinking about retirement, you kind of want that one level living.
Hmm.
And they're a little bit of a unicorn now,
Yep.
because people that
So
have
many
them
people
aren't selling them. And then people are trying to downsize and they're like, oh, I want a single level. I want a bad bedroom on the first floor.
and it's not
And
that easy
sometimes
all
it's
the
hard to
time.
find.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep, I would agree with that. So,
Yeah, that's those. So tell me a little bit about, you mentioned oil and gas and healthcare, which I think certainly we have a lot of healthcare here in Greater Boston with our hospitals. So if somebody is looking to reload for a job, they certainly have jobs there at the hospital system. We don't have the oil and gas industry like other states do, so that's very interesting. I think anybody that would want to be in that field.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, so I mean, certainly it seems like there's opportunity there for folks that do want to work and relocate in that sense.
Yeah, there's always a ton, it seems like. And just since I've moved here in 2007, we've gone from one hospital to four hospitals. Like it's become way more of a hub. And so there's a lot of that. And it really was people back before moving for oil and gas. And it was a lot more transient stuff. And I feel like that's really stabilized. And people are now like moving in and like, I don't know, just trying to find things that are more stable, that aren't like that roller coastery. And
Right.
I think it's helping our market altogether because like it's hard when your market depends so much on that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, and I think a lot of people are looking to get out of way busier places and just live in a little bit quieter spot too.
Yeah.
So,
So I'm curious because other folks that I've talked to around the country, at least from our perspective, it's like, oh, they get a lot of snow, it's cold. So
mhm.
tell me, like, how are your winters out there? Because I think some people I've talked to that I would assume that their winters are as bad as ours. They aren't at all.
Our winters are ridiculous, but
Okay.
like the
But
worst thing
define ridiculous, because I think
The
ridiculous
defining
to New England
ridiculous
is maybe
is the
different.
wind. The wind is soul
Okay.
sucking and goes on for days and days and days. It will snow, and when it snows, it usually quiets down. But then the next like 2 or 3 days, the wind just howls, and you're just like, you don't want to be outside at all. You're over it. But really, like, it's not a very humid cold, so like it doesn't feel that bad. On the nice days, we do get a lot of sunny days. It's still great to go sledding and ice fishing and doing all this outdoor stuff. We have a great mountain that you can escape to, and a lot of times up on the mountain there isn't nearly as much wind or anything.
Mm,
So I'd say winters here are intense, like, and you definitely have to be self-reliant. But people watch out for each other. If we see somebody stuck in the snow, like there's always somebody there, I think, pulling them out.
yeah.
But it gets a little wild here in the wintertime, but then
Yeah.
our summers are just to die for. We don't have humidity, we don't have a lot of bugs, we don't have, it's just really, really nice. Like, and it stays in the 80s usually.
Oh,
So
it sounds
it's
perfect.
beautiful. We really like it. And during the wintertime, like the best days are usually once or twice anyways, we get a snow day. And I'm like, that's such a
It's
perfect
the
day to stay
best.
home and bake cookies and not
I
have to
know.
be
We get
required
those
to
too. And it's so nice to just like when everything shuts down and everyone stays home.
leave.
And, yes, it's the perfect day to like bake or like whip out the crock pot and just make like a hearty meal and have some hot
Yeah.
chocolate. It's the best.
Sounds delicious.
Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing part of Casper, Wyoming with us.
Absolutely.
And yes, and for anyone who's watching, of course, we will post Bri's contact info. So if you're curious about Casper or you're going to go out to visit for vacation, we'll hook you up. She will take you around, show you what's going on. And Bri, as always, it was so good to talk to you.
You
And
too.
thanks
Good to
again.
see you.
And yes, and everybody else, thank you so much for watching. And until
Thank
next
you.
time, I hope you love the way you live.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, can you stop the recording?